Hello, everyone. I hope everyone is having a wonderful Tuesday today, and that everything is going pretty good for you today. Okay, so today I would like to talk to your new drivers and your future drivers about how to drive in high crime areas. Give you some tips on how to stay safe while you're in those high crime areas, and give you a few tips on what to do so that you can get out of those high crime areas as you complete a ride, okay? So high crime areas are very tricky when it comes to Lyft's computer algorithm. Now, Lyft has some type of filters that they have implemented in the app where you can stay in certain areas, right? For the most part, but that's tricky too, because okay, when it comes to high crime areas, you might pick someone up in a very decent area that lives in a high crime area, right? The key is to know how to maneuver in the app so that you will not pick anyone else up from that high crime area, right? So remember this: if you know your city, right, or if you know that area that you're taking someone to is a high crime area, when you pick that individual up and you slide picked up person, when you slide pick up and en route to the trip, you're going to see the address. If you know that address is a high crime area, you immediately push last ride. Okay? Last ride will take you offline, right? And when you drop this person off and clear that trip, you're offline. So this will give you time to drop that person off and maneuver out of that neighborhood and get to where you need to go back to. Okay? So remember this: when you pick someone up in a very decent area, and if you notice that the address is in a high crime area, once you proceed to driving them to where you got to go, immediately push last ride. This will give you time to drop that person off. As you clear that trip, you can get out of that area, okay? All right, so, that's a tip on how not to pick anyone else up. Because, see, what Lyft would do, in high crime areas, a lot of drivers don't like to be in high crime areas, right? So, it's an influx of rides in high crime. Is a high demand for rides in high crime areas. So soon, sometimes you could pick a person up and they're 12 minutes away from where you're supposed to drop them off at. Within 6 minutes of the ride, they throw another ride in your queue. Because when you drop that person off, there's somebody around the street from that person that's been trying to get a lift in the high crime area. Right? So they'll throw that ride in your queue if you don't cut your app off. So how you can prevent them from throwing rides into your queue is the moment you pick this person up in a pretty decent area and you see the addresses in a high crime area, when you proceed to take this person en route to their trip, you cut the app off. This takes you offline, so they will not send any more rides to your queue. You drop this person off, you clear that trip. Then you proceed to leave that neighborhood and you get well out of that neighborhood. Then you turn your app back on. Okay. Now, let's say it's a situation where you don't turn your app off. And as I stated, 2 to 3 minutes into the ride, before you drop the person off, they throw another ride in the queue. And you have to pick someone else up in that area, right? Okay, so when you drop this person off, and you see that there's another ride that's 2 to 3 minutes or 2 to 3 miles away from that address that you dropped someone off at in the high crime area, you got two choices. Either you can cancel that trip, turn your app off and get out of there, or you can go and pick this individual up. Upon picking the second person up, you turn your app off. Now, when you're en route to that second person, you make sure that you keep your doors locked. Okay? When you get there to pick that person up, you turn around, you adjust your mirrors, you make sure your mirrors, your side mirrors, and your rear view mirror are where you can get a rotation and you can see behind you pretty good. Okay, in other words, keep your head on the swivel. Not just looking at the mirrors, but turning over your shoulders, right and left. Okay? Now, here's where it becomes tricky. If you see that a girl booked the trip, and then here come two guys coming in the cars, they got hoods on their head, they got masks on, cancel that trip. Now, I know oftentimes people book trips for other people, right? You call and confirm it, okay? So if you see two guys coming to the car, okay, and it's a girl that done booked the trip, you call the girl, you say, yes, it's two men coming to the car, okay? And she'll be like, yes, that's my brother or that's my son, blah, 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 you know what I'm saying? You can say, okay, well, I don't feel comfortable with taking this ride. They have masks on. This is a high crime area. I don't like that. So I'm going to cancel this trip. Cancel the trip and you pull off. You understand what I'm saying? Or you don't even have to call the person. You can just, if you feel like that appearance of those two men coming to the car with masks on, it's a threat to you and that you feel uncomfortable, cancel the trip and pull off. Turn your app off and get out of that area. Okay? It's important that you keep your head on the swivel. You keep your mirrors adjusted so you can look around you behind the cars. You turn around, you rotate across your right and your left shoulder. You adjust your rear view mirror so that you can see in the back as well. Okay? Because in these high crime areas, people get carjacked a lot. Okay? Now, another tip. Do not have more money on you than enough for lunch. Okay? Don't be riding around with a whole bunch of credit cards on you and all that stuff like that. It makes no sense. You understand what I'm saying? If you have a great big pocketbook and all that stuff, leave it at home. You know what I'm saying? Don't wear no jewelry. You know what I'm saying? None of that stuff like that. Anything that looks valuable, you know what I'm saying? Don't wear that stuff while you're driving. You understand what I'm saying? Okay. A criminal going to get your ass whether they're going to get you in a bad area or a good area. A criminal's a criminal. Let's just hope that they don't get you in no areas. You know what I'm saying? You want to stay as safe as possible. Now, I want to give you some tips to help you protect yourself in case you're in a situation in the vehicle and someone grabs you from behind. Now, let me give you a tip on how to prevent that from happening. You keep the door on your side locked. If it's two people and you don't feel comfortable with picking them up, cancel the trip. If it's one person and you're in a high crime area or you're in any area, you direct that person to the passenger's door. You understand what I'm saying? If they get in the vehicle, tell them, oh, I want to sit on that side. I said, no. No one sits behind me. I feel comfortable with you sitting right there. Okay? That's that. Don't let nobody sit behind you. If it's one person, don't let them sit behind. Young kids in high school and younger 20s, they do stuff like that. They want to sit behind you and all that stuff like that. No. If it's one person, they sit on that side, the passenger side. Okay? Now, I'm gonna give you some tips on how to protect yourself. If it's a situation where someone's grabbed you from behind in the car, okay, trying to strong arm you or do something to you like that, I'm gonna give you a few tips that may help you. Always keep some mace on you. Keep it sitting in your lap. Keep it unlocked. Okay? That's one tip. Another tip is to keep your poker. Okay? And I'm pretty sure y'all probably say, what is a poker? Well, a poker you can find anywhere. Okay? But if you feel like you may need this, okay, this is something very important. Okay? A poker is a very good tool to diffuse any situation. If a person is trying to rob you, hold you, trying to strong arm you, you keep a poker sitting in your lap. You know, so if they grab you, you poke. They'll let you go. You understand what I'm saying? Now, I'm not a violent person. I try not to be a violent person, and I'm not trying to promote it. But as drivers, we have to look out for ourselves out here. Okay? If someone is trying to do something to harm you, ladies especially, you know, you keep you a little blade or something sitting in your lap, or you keep you some mace cocked and ready to go. So when they grab you, you just spray. That mace get back there, they get the hell up out the car. You see what I'm saying? Just hope and pray to God they don't have a gun. Okay? Now, I'm going to tell you something else that you should never do. If you go to pick someone up and they got a gun holstered on their side, and they're going to get in or whatever, you know what I'm saying? You said, with all due respect, sir or ma'am, I'm not going to give you a ride with that gun on your side. I don't feel safe with it. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to cancel this trip. Okay? Now, what if it's a police officer? If you don't feel safe with the gun in the car, tell them the same thing. Hey, man, excuse me, with all due respect, sir, are you a police officer? Yes, I'm a police officer, but I don't feel comfortable with that gun being in the vehicle. I'm going to cancel this trip. Okay? They may say, hey, man, I got it holstered, and, you know, everything is straight with it, you know. Oh, you know, it's up to you. It's up to you. It's at your discretion. Okay? It's at your discretion. Now, me personally, I don't ride nobody around with guns in here. You know what I'm saying? I just don't do it. Okay? You don't want to get in the habit of allowing people to ride guns, because everybody ain't going to be a cop. You know what I mean? You ask yourself, why is they riding around? Why is they got a gun holstered on the side? They got some type of vandellas out there. They got to keep them guns on them, because at any moment they're going to have to pull it and shoot it because somebody's after them, just hoping it ain't in your Lyft. That's why I said, tell them that with all due respect, I don't ride people with guns. I'm just against them, you know what I'm saying? But remember, new drivers and future drivers, you can't stay out of high crime areas. The algorithm is going to send you there one way or another. Okay? You can do the best you can by setting these filters that they have instilled in the app and whatnot, and hope that you don't go to high crime areas that much, but you will go to high crime areas to drop people off. It's just how you maneuver as you en route to those high crime areas that get you out of there. So remember, you pick someone up in a very decent area, like preferably an area that you would like to work in, and they're going to a high crime area. When you look at the address, immediately you hit last ride. You go to proceed to drop that individual off, and the app is going to automatically cut off when you clear that ride. You get the hell out of that area, okay? If you're in that area and another ride get thrown in your queue, and you don't want to be in that area to get another ride, you can cancel that ride, cut the app off, and get out of that area as such the first time. Or you can proceed to pick that sucking person up, but you cut the app off as you proceed to pick the sucking person up. When you drop that when you get there to pick that sucking person up, you make sure that you keep your mirrors and everything so that you can see around you. Rotate over your shoulders over both sides of the vehicle to make sure no one is creeping up behind you. If that is not the person that you're going to pick up, that you see coming to the vehicle, you can cancel the trip and pull off, okay, for your safety. If that is the person and whatnot, and they got a mask on, so excuse me, before you get in the vehicle, let me see your face. Make sure that that's the person on the picture, okay? They got a holstered gun. Say, I don't ride people with guns, okay? It's at your discretion, okay? I'd advise you not to ride people around with guns. Make sure that if you got some mace or a poker, when you're in that area, you set it in your lap so no one can see it, okay? You have it within arm distance so no one can see it, okay? As you drop that person off, you clear that trip, the app is going to be off. You get the hell out of that neighborhood, okay? Remember, always keep your head on keep your doors locked and keep your head on the swivel as you're driving in high crime areas, okay? So that is about it for high crime areas, you know what I'm saying? Now, the people in high crime areas are totally different people. You know, they're slick, you know what I'm saying? They people. Not all of them are bad, but they tend to have a more you know, they're more gangsterish. They have a slick demeanor about them. You know what I'm saying? You know, they talk fast. You know what I'm saying? You got to be careful what they say. You got to listen to what they say. You don't understand it? Tell them to explain it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know, you just got to, you know, be mindful that you're in a high crime area. You don't have to mistreat these people because you're in a high crime area, because everybody lives in a high crime area is not a criminal, right? I'm just telling you how to maneuver through high crime areas so you can get out of there, and give you some tips on how to protect yourself while you're in the high crime areas, okay? So be mindful, people, that people in high crime areas are not all bad. And, you know, there's some that's bad. But I just wanted to give you a heads up on how to maneuver in these high crime areas, because I know a lot of new and future drivers, that's their one pet peeve, is how to deal with the customers on a day-to-day basis and how not to drive in high crime areas. You understand what I'm saying? You know, so a lot of things going to be thrown at you if you stay in high crime areas. You're going to run into girls. They got a lot of children. She's going to have one car seat, but she got 3 other children under the age of 8. And she's going to expect you to give her a ride. You can't do that. Because if you give her a ride and somebody runs into the vehicle and there's 3 children that's not in a car seat, the police or the state trooper are going to charge you for each child that's not in that car. If they get hurt or whatever, you leave yourself open to be sued. Because the mama is going to sue you because she see money. See what I'm saying? She's going to sue the person that ran in the back of you, and she's going to sue you. So you do not allow no one to put babies in your car that don't have car seats. And that's what you're going to run into a lot in high crime areas. Everybody's going to be looking for you to be lenient on them, to do more for them than what they're paying for. You're going to run into a lot of stuff like that in high crime areas. That's why I'm telling you, avoid them. So, people, that's all I have for high crime areas. Teaching you how to drive in high crime areas and a few tips on how to be safe in high crime areas while you're in high crime areas. So, until my next video, let's get this bread, baby.